Hey everyone, welcome back. This video is about module scripts and how we can use them in our games. So pretty much what module scripts are is they are a way to store code externally out of scripts, and they can be accessed from multiple scripts to be called upon, or they can be used as like a interface of some sort. So module scripts are very important. They help tidy your games up, and they can just be your entire game just could be module scripts, and then you have one normal script, one local script. But that's more complicated. That'll be like tutorial 27 or something, where we go into frameworks. But for this one, we'll be going into simple module scripts and how you should be using them, and sort of an example of what you could do with module scripts. Alright, so what we're going to do first is create a script. And we're just going to leave the print hello world there for the moment. So if I just run that, we've got our print now. Now let's have a function called epic. And we're going to print epic. I'm going to close that and run that here. So we're going to call the function epic, and it should print epic. So like that. But let's say this function could be used in other scripts also. So let's say this is script 1. And then we have another script with the exact same code here, which is the print epic. So if I run that, we should have two epics, but they're from different scripts. Now imagine that this function is 100 lines long. That means we have two scripts with the same function of 100 lines, when there should only be one function of 100 lines, which both of the scripts access. So what we need to do is find a way to make this function epic accessible to both scripts so it can be called. Now this is where module scripts come in. First, let's add a module script, and we're gonna be given an example here, which is this local module equals a table, and then we're gonna return that table from the module script. So what we can gather from this is that module scripts have to return a value of some sort, and one of the possible values is a table. In our case, you might not know that module scripts can return other values yet, because the default gives you, or it tells you that this module script has to return a table, but you can return other values also, which we'll look at. So first, let's just go back and let's say, how do we access this module script? So in our case, the module script's under server script service. So I'm going to move these ones out here so we don't worry about them. So our module script's under server script service. We want to access this from a script. So let's say local module equals. Now how do we access modules? Well, there's a function called require. So if we have a look at require here, it says require target any, and it will return whatever value is returned. So what we need to pass into this require is the table, or is the instance of the module script in our case. So there's different things you can require. You can require numbers, which is an asset ID. You can require a string. I believe that will look in your local game files depending on the format, but we won't worry about that. But what we want to require is this instance module script, which we need to refer to using our script or workspace or get service, whatever. In our case, since the module script is in the same directory as the normal script, we can just do script.parent.module script. So now we got the module. Now let's just clear this module for a moment, and let's see what this does. If I run that, it says module code did not return exactly one value. So we know that this module script has to return something. So for now, let's just return true. Let's run that. Does that work? Yes, it does. So now let's do some experimenting. Let's say if true, then return true. Will that work? Okay. Now let's say if false, then return true. Module did not return a value. So we need to return something no matter what. So let's just return true. Now let's go back in the script and let's print what module is. So we've required module, but we should be returning something for that script to use. In our case, we're returning the value true, the boolean true, which other scripts can use. There we go. So we got true from this module script because it's the value that was returned from the module script. Now, let's find a way to have this function accessible. by other scripts. So let's delete these, or delete that script, and we'll move these ones back. Let's do local module equals require script dot parent dot module script. Now we can make this nice and easy, and we can just do a return function. We don't need to name it because it will be named in the variable name, or stored in the variable name, and we're going to print epic. What did we just do? We just made it so this module returns this function epic. So what we can actually just do is local epic equals require script.parent.module script, and we'll call epic because epic is a function that we can call. And if I have that in both of these scripts, we should see epic print twice because it's in the module script here. Now what's a better way? Let's say we want to print epic 2. Let's say there's another function, but if we do this here, so if we have module script 2, require script.parent.module script 2. So let's say we have both of these in these scripts, and this one prints epic 2. So we can do that, but as you can see, we're starting to build up a lot of modules now. And we're going to have to do a require for each and every module, which we don't want. So what's a different way we can store this epic function, so that way everything can be accessed in one variable? Well, we can have these module scripts return tables like it originally showed us. So we can do local module equals that, and we want to return module. So let's see what this gives us. Print epic. I won't put anything in there, but let's just print epic for now. So what do we get when we return this table here? We get an empty table. Now let's put some value inside this table. Let's put epic to the value true. So if we do that, we'll see, okay, this key epic has a value of true. Can I put functions in this table? Yes, you can. There's 3 ways you can do it, depending on your use. So the first way is you can have it as a variable like this one. You can say module dot the function name equals a function. Print epic. So there's one way there. And then actually, if we go here and we run it again, you're going to see that it prints epic equals function. And if I do epic, so print epic dot epic, what does that do? Function, and then that's the memory address. So we have the function here accessible by this script, and then now we know that it's a function, we can call that function, and that should give us epic. And now that we have the ability to call this function in that table, we can do this in both scripts, and if we run that, we'll have 2 epics, but also we can have more than one epic function now. We can have epic 2 in here also. And we can say, instead of calling this epic, we'll call this module. And we can say module.epic2, and we want to call that function. So pretty much module scripts are a way that you can store code so it can be used elsewhere. So there we go. We've got epic, epic2, epic, epic2. So let's see. What do we want to do now? Let's have these functions call each other. So how would I get this epic function here to call this epic function? Actually, we'll do it the other way. So let's say, how do I have this epic2 function call this epic function here? Well, where is this epic function stored? It's stored inside the module table. And since this has been, or this table has been defined before the functions, we can access this table. So what I can say is print epic2, and we can do module.epic. Now, take careful notice of this. You do not want these functions to call each other endlessly. So if I do that, this is very problematic because module.epic calls module.epic2, which is this one. This one, module.epic2, calls module.epic, which calls this one. So now you have an infinite loop which will crash Studio. You need to have checks and all that for like loops or whatever the use case is, but you do not want them to recursively call each other like this. That is a keyword, recursively. this one calls, or I should say this one calls this one calls this one, which is problematic. So in our case, we're only calling one of them. We're going to say epic2 automatically calls epic. And we can now get rid of epic in here, and if we run that, we should see epic2, then epic, epic2, then epic. Because in our function here, we print epic2 and then call epic. But if we did it the other way, like so, we can print epic first, then epic2, epic first, then epic2. So module scripts are just a way to store values, store functions, and you can store a lot of data in them. Now, what's some practical uses for this? Well, let's jump over to the RPG series again, because my whole framework here is module scripts, apart from one local script and one normal script for a server. You can see that I have this table here called module, and these functions are attached to that table, and that is returned. So whatever requires this module will receive this module table with set character data as a function attached to it, and this get newly created data as a function attached to it. Let's do it the way that I've done it here. So we need to do function module colon the function name and then all the arguments like a normal function. So function module epic, and we have that there. We can print epic just like we had before, and we're going to have epic2, but we want to call epic. Now the difference is you don't want to use dot because you have to pass in module like so. What you want to use is colon for epic because it automatically passes in this module. So you wouldn't usually use colon outside of object-oriented programming in Lua, but I like to use it because it's neater and it looks nicer. And I hate using dots unless, actually I think it's just because of how I do it, but I use dots for constructors for classes, so you create objects. Don't worry if you don't understand it, there's a tutorial later, but I just use colon for every function because it's a method rather than it's a constructor. But I sometimes do use dot. In this case, you just want to match it to what you're using. But that's up to you. You can use dot. You can use the module dot epic equals function. You can do it this way. Up to you. You can actually have a mix if you want. So I can call epic2 here. Actually, is that epic2 is a dot, and then this one's gonna be colon. So if I run that, you'll see epic, epic2, epic, epic2. It works properly. It's just a matter of what arguments are being passed in, which we're not actually worrying about here. Yeah, so module scripts just store code. That's pretty much the whole idea behind it. Or they store values, store functions, whatever. So all of these here are .lua files, so they're all module scripts. So all of these are module scripts. That's a module script, which in this case the core folder here is a module script itself. If we have a look under server script service, we have a server script, and these require module scripts, which will start up our framework in this game. So require replicator storage, wait for child modules. So we're going to wait for a module script, in our case, in this project, because everything is module scripts. We're going to wait for a module script called modules, and we're going to require that. And that should return a value for us to use in our script. The reason why I don't have these stored in variables is because this core auto triggers a bunch of modules, which then automatically require this in their own scripts. So I'll have to show you later when we get to the framework part of the tutorial series, but you'll see that I have lots of module scripts everywhere and only one normal script and one local script, which is this one here. And we'll get into the different the reasons why you have a normal script, you got a local script, and you got a module script. But module scripts are shared data. Local scripts are client only, and server is server only. And you'll figure out that later. But yeah, hopefully you've learned what module scripts are, the as I said, like, I don't know, 10 times, the whole idea of module scripts is to store code or store data, and then that way it can be used diversely in a lot of other scripts and save line count, or you can use them as configs, anything like that. And a great example for configs is in here. We go under data. I have save slots config. I have this max saves here. So that's our config there. We can specify max saves. I can say, okay, there's the there's a picture. Oh, that's in the save data, but that's the picture for the save data where your character stands. And yeah, you can do this sort of thing where you have your options there, and then you can have functions attached to tables. So that's is valid character data. You can figure it out if you have a look at this. I talk too much. I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully you learned something.